Yo, what is going on? This is Philip Jean-Marie, aka Max Cooper. I'm actually here at the Power Morphicon, and I wanted to show you my wonderful helmet. I also wanted to shout out everyone who watched Power Rangers Wild Force, and even the old fans and the new fans. Also want to let you guys know, shout out to Tiger Tales. It's an audio storytelling channel on YouTube. Make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe. And also wanted to let you know, if you're going through some issues in life, remember 3 words: never give up. All right. So I hope everyone is doing well. Love you a lot. Peace.
Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales, a place you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by your host, me, Tai Tiger. Today we're diving into Universe 2118, the universe dedicated to the 3 Ranger Bros studios. The 3 Ranger Bros are myself, Cosplay Dude 637, and Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, and all the stories found in this universe are created by all 3 of us as an ongoing project. Now today we're diving back into Power Rangers Global, a storyline where Loki uses gods as his minions and tries to take over the world. And 4 Rangers come from 4 different universes to come aid the Pink Ranger and become Power Rangers Global. That being said, we're now going to dive into part 3 of our 3-part finale of Season 1. Now, the last chapter ended with Loki getting to the centre of the Underworld and releasing the spirits of King Arthur and Lancelot with unknown means. And of course the Rangers tried to fight him but failed, and Elias tried to stand up to him. So let's dive in and find out what's been going on. Power Rangers Global, Chapter 11, The Centre of the Underworld, Part 3. Loki swung his sword. Elias screamed out in pain. His arm dropped to the floor. The ground was washed in blood, and Loki walked away, leaving Elias dropping to the ground. His eyes rolled into the back of his head, and he passed out due to the pain. Mark stood up, his body weak. He pulled out his morpher and held it out. His body was wrapped in morphing grid energy, and he morphed into the Red Cornish Ranger. He then held out his hand, and the Sword of Darkness formed in his grip. Then he ran at Loki and slashed Loki across the face. Loki touched his cheek and examined the blood on his finger. Ah, yes, the infamous Sword of Darkness. Your little curse. Loki grinned.
This might be my curse, but it will be your downfall,
the Red Cornish Ranger growled. Then the Red Cornish Ranger swung the sword once again and slashed Loki. Then he struck him again and again. Loki grunted as the blade made contact. The Red Cornish Ranger kicked Loki to the ground. He raised his arm up and the sword gleamed.
It's time to end your reign,
the Red Cornish Ranger yelled. Then the Red Cornish Ranger swung the Sword of Darkness down, but instead of hitting Loki, his sword collided with another blade. The Red Cornish Ranger looked up and saw the spirit of King Arthur and Lancelot blocking his attack. Mark, calm yourself, King Arthur ordered. The Red Cornish Ranger stood tall. The sword vanished and he demorphed. Mark, do you know who I am? The king asked.
You're King Arthur. I know who you are, and him. He's Lancelot.
Mark noted. Good. I only have a minute, but listen to me now. I know what this trickster is going to ask of us. Once he forces me into it, because trust me, I won't be able to stop, but it's fine. Even if he's successful, you can still win. Just wait for now. Just remember one thing. Forgiveness is the first step at making your army stronger, King Arthur told him. He placed his spirit hand on Mark's shoulder, and a sudden rush of energies flooded Mark's mind. Mark was unsure of King Arthur's words and the images shown before him, but he nodded at the 2 spirits. See you soon, Mark, Lancelot said.
I'm trusting you. Do not make me regret it.
Mark told the spirit, glaring at Loki. Loki stood and dusted himself off. He then held out his hand, and the chains formed around the spirits' necks, and Loki teleported away with both the spirits.
My name is Rusfa, also known as the Banker. My name is feared by many universes. And now, I'm currently working on destroying Universe 19. No Ultra Rangers, Power Rangers Cyberforce, Skyforce, hell, even those Kamen Riders, and those pesky Beetle Troopers. Nothing can get in my way. If you want to hear me destroying Power Rangers Universe 19, well, you can listen on the podcast and watch my evil excellence destroy those dumb enough to face me on the Power Rangers Universe 19 podcast. Come listen, if you dare.
Mark turned around and saw the devastating sight of his team. He ran over to check on Elias. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around Elias' shoulder to try to slow down the bleeding. Then he ran over to the Gold Celtic Ranger, who was being crushed by a stone column.
Are you okay?
Mark asked.
Yeah, this is just heavy.
The Gold Celtic Ranger grunted. Mark summoned his power lance and used it to help the Gold Celtic Ranger. They managed to move the stone column off of him. The Mark then helped the Gold Celtic Ranger to his feet, and the Ranger demorphed.
Without your Ranger form, you would have been crushed to death. Well done on holding on.
Mark sighed. Eric nodded with a heavy breath. He found his body so weak he could barely stand.
We need to grab the others,
Eric said through a heavy breath. Mark and Eric both ran over to the other two unconscious members of their team. Mark ran to Lip and shook him awake. Lip woke up and Mark helped him to sit up. Sorry, Lip muttered.
What on earth are you apologising for?
Mark asked, confused. I failed, Lip sighed.
Hey, look at me. You did not fail. You came from an Earth where there is no hope, no light at the end of the tunnel. Literally, hell on Earth. And you are here fighting for a completely different Earth. That's selfless. And you are an asset to this team. Yes, Loki won this time, but we underestimated the power of a god. That ain't on you, okay?
Mark snapped at him. Lip wiped away a tear, then started to climb to his feet with the help of Mark. Eric ran over to Himiko and shook her awake.
Ow! My head hurts. My body hurts. Hell, my face hurts.
Himiko grunted.
Well, you still look beautiful if it means anything.
Eric said shyly as he pulled her to her feet.
Thanks, but right now, I think our team is hurting the most.
Himiko grunted.
I think Elias took the biggest hit.
Eric growled. Himiko looked over to see Elias passed out, covered in blood, and his shoulder covered in Mark's jacket.
Oh my... No!
Himiko cried out. She ran over to Elias with a new burst of energy and dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks, and the boys all joined her.
Lip, any sign of Ra or Anubis?
Mark asked. Nah, I can't hear them. I've been trying to call out to them, but they ain't answering. Lip huffed.
We have to get him out of here.
Himiko barked through her tears. Suddenly, skeletons appeared in a wisp of grey.
Now what?
Eric asked.
We have been here too long. Living beings should not be here.
Himiko sighed. Everybody stood up and dropped into their fighting stances.
Can anyone morph?
Mark asked his team. I don't know if I can, Lip grunted.
We all use a lot of energy, and who knows if the Underworld allows the morphing grid in?
Eric stated. The skeletons advanced closer. Eric swept his leg and tripped one of them over. Himiko threw a punch and hit one in the skull. The skeletons started reaching out and trying to grab each one of the team. Lip grabbed the bone wrist of one of the skeletons and pulled it in and ripped his arm off, making the whole skeleton break apart. Mark tried summoning a power weapon, but using the lance to save Eric took the remaining strength out of him. He jumped up and spun a kick around and kicked the skull, knocking the whole skeleton over. Eric turned around and saw more skeletons trying to grab Elias's body. Eric stepped over Elias and kicked the skeleton back. Mark joined Eric, and the 4 teammates surrounded Elias's unconscious body and tried their best to fight off the overpowering army of skeletons. Each one of them trying to stand and trying to fight back, but the fight against Loki had hurt them pretty bad and depleted their power. Eric saw each one of his teammates struggling to fight, struggling to stand. Then it hit him. Eric remembered the man in the alleyway back just before they came to the Underworld, and he remembered that he told Eric he could help them get out of the Underworld. All he had to do was say his name.
Hamdall! Hamdall! We need you!
Eric called out. Everyone looked at him rather puzzled and confused.
Hamdall, come on! You said you would get us out of here!
Eric barked. Then suddenly a ball of rainbow light came bursting through the dark clouds. It flew down and hit the ground. There was a blinding light, and there stood Heimdall. He stood there and raised his hand, and a burst of light exploded from his palm. The light threw all the skeletons back. Hey, I know you, Lip said.
You're Hamdall.
Himiko gasped.
Ain't you guys from the beach?
Mark asked. Eric looked confused at Heimdall.
Hello, everyone. I can answer your questions later, but right now we have to get out of here.
Heimdall said to everyone. He then raised both his hands, and the ground underneath them started glowing in rainbow colours. The light engulfed everyone, then the light diminished, and everyone had disappeared from the Underworld. Loki managed to finally get back to the Cloud Kingdom. He walked up to his desk and started writing stuff down on a page. Nephis walked up to him and she noticed the 2 chained up spirits stood next to Loki. Boss? What's with the 2 spooky dudes over here? Nephis asked. They're my new teachers, Loki stated. You gonna learn something now? Nephis asked with a cackle. Learn something, yes. Here, no. I'm going away for a couple weeks, Loki told her. What do you mean, going away for a couple weeks? What about the Red Cornish Rash and his bandits of rainbow rash creams? Nephis barked. Loki finished writing on the paper, and then he put the quill down and handed the paper to her and handed her the Nega skull. I shall only be a couple weeks, and don't worry, when I return, I'll be much stronger. Loki growled. What am I supposed to do? Be in charge now? Nephis asked in shock. Temporarily, yes. The paper is a list of gods and deities you can use, and that Nega skull will of course work for you. Oh, and room 36 is out of bounds. Keep those things we call gods under wraps, and good luck with the Rangers. You are now promoted, Loki told her. Loki yanked the chains and the spirits walked up to him. Then in a gleam of green light, Loki vanished, taking the 2 spirits with him. Great. Now what do I do? Nephis moaned.
Kirito, did you hear about that new podcast?
What new podcast, Asu?
It's called the Tiger Nexus Podcast, run by Tai Tiger.
Hold on. I know that name. He's the guy behind Tiger Tales on YouTube, right?
Yep, that's right. And now he's launched his own podcast where he interviews content creators and nerds of all kinds.
No way, that sounds so cool. What's the name of the podcast again?
The Tiger Nexus Podcast. You can find it on all major podcast platforms.
Hold up, he's had Cosplay Dude 637 on there? That's amazing!
I know, right? He's also interviewed A-Crown, Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, and many others.
I am totally subscribing to the Tiger Nexus podcast. I don't want to miss anything.
Tune into the Tiger Nexus podcast by Tai Tiger for fascinating interviews with your favorite content creators and nerds. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss out.
Elias opened his eyes and looked around, and he saw himself in the Museum and Library of Ancient History. He saw that he was on some form of medic bed. His body was rigged up to several machines. He looked down and flexed his hands, but something felt rather off. His right hand was clenching, just like his conscious mind commanded it. He then looked to his left, and his arm was gone. Elias's heart raced so much he could hear it.
Where the fuck is my arm?
Elias roared. Everyone came running in.
Elias, you awake?
Mark stated.
Elias, man, I am so sorry. It's my fault. I should have focused on protecting you.
Eric said sadly. Elias just looked at Eric with confusion. He's been beating himself up pretty bad for the last 2 weeks. Lip said.
Wait. 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks.
Elias gasped.
Yes, our mission to stop Loki in the Underworld was a failure. And it came with a price.
Mark said, gesturing to Elias's missing arm.
How do you feel, Elias?
Himiko blurted.
A little woozy. I feel fine. Just feel like my arm is still there, kinda.
Elias explained. Brohan then cleared his throat. You may feel the essence of phantom limbs, where your body remembers what was there that is no longer there, Brohan told him.
I cannot believe we failed.
Elias sighed.
For what it's worth, Hephaestus wants to repay us for saving him. He is going to make you an arm, out of magic or something. It should allow you to morph if you want to.
Himiko explained.
You can bet your ass I'm coming back in full swing. We gotta take Loki down.
Elias growled.
That's if he pops up anytime soon. It's been pretty hush-hush since the Underworld.
Eric mumbled.
Most important, we have no idea why he would want the spirits of Lancelot and King Arthur.
Mark said sternly. Let us leave Elias to come to grips. When he's up to it, we should eat something, Brohan ordered. Everyone hugged or fist-bumped Elias, then left the room. Everyone felt unsure with themselves. Mark sat down and took a deep sigh in. He once again felt like he had failed his own team. Lip walked up to him. Hey man, overall, we managed to get in and out of the Underworld. And you gotta admit, that was pretty awesome, Lip said, trying to sound encouraging.
It was good, Lip. Well done. That was all on you.
Mark replied. Yeah, I guess. Oh, the Sword of Darkness. That wasn't me. That was a pretty unexpected touch, actually. Well done. Made the whole thing believable, Lip said, holding up a thumbs up.
I had to admit this, man, but that wasn't planned at all. It just appeared. It shouldn't have, but it did.
Mark said with a hint of fear in his voice. Lip looked at Mark, worryingly. Loki walked into a castle. It was old and dusty and covered in plants. This is our home. Or it was, King Arthur noted. Good, you noticed, Loki said as he pulled a big sheet of fabric off of the round table. Why have you brought us here? The spirit of Lancelot asked. Well, you once learned how to do something here, with the rest of your knights. I want to learn it as well, Loki stated. You cannot be serious. You're a god. You can do it anyway. All the gods can. Arthur barked. Oh, no. Brohan never taught me. You see, he didn't trust me. I'm the bad guy, remember? Loki grinned. And why do you want to do this for, anyway? the spirited King Arthur asked curiously. Because I'm a huge fan of yours. You were the first and only team of Power Rangers, and every fan of the Power Rangers wants to be a Power Ranger, Loki said with a devilish grin. That concludes Power Rangers Global Season 1. Power Rangers Global will return. But before Power Rangers Global can continue, they've got to team up with other Power Rangers, some Ultra Rangers, and some Kamen Riders to save the multiverse from one of the biggest threats they've ever seen. Thank you very much for listening to this story. There are of course plenty more where that came from, on this specific channel and on other Tiger channels as well. There are plenty more Tiger Tales channels for you guys to find and explore, with all sorts of storylines, fanfictions to dive into. A huge shout out to the following: Cosplay Dude 637, my Parabatai, and Mark the Red Cornish Ranger. The three of us are the Three Ranger Bros. Then of course we have our partners, A-Crown, and Cosplay Sun 637, also known as Xander. Of course, a huge shout out to the Zero to Hero podcast, and of course, If You Give a Dad a podcast. If you want to find out more about these people, make sure you check out our website, the3rangerbrosstudios.com. That being said, make sure you check out the Tiger Nexus podcast, my own podcast where I interview people, content creators and geeks alike. Sometimes those two things intertwine. Now of course, a list of the other Tiger Tales channels can be found on the website, and also some of the channels are down below in the description. Make sure you go give them a listen to, because there's more where that came from. Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637 also returns on a lot of the Tiger Tales channels, including the original Tiger Tales. So make sure you check out his stories as well. I have plenty more content where that came from. I do gaming, reactions, I geek out about stuff, I show off my collectibles, my artwork, and a lot more. Again, some of these links will be in the description down below. If not, you can go check out the website, or check out the TikTok at Tai Tiger 777, where I talk about a lot about my other content. Of course, that being said, I love you all. Make sure you hit that like button, you subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss more stories coming to you from myself and the partners of the channel. We're of passion, everybody, and I shall see you guys real soon.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.
Bye.